Hey there, toy collector friends and Space 1999 fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the time traveling toy collector, and this is the latest release in the Hero Collector and Eagle Moss Space 1999 Starships collection. This is the third issue, and this model here is the Eagle Laboratory, most notably recognizable because it has a very different pod arrangement. Now, so far we've seen the Eagle as a transporter, and we've also seen the Eagle transporter with the additional thrusters. This one is perhaps a far more notable variant in terms of the pod that it's carrying. It has the extra space to conduct a variety of scientific experiments, on planet research, etc. So just for a bit of clarification, the Eagle starships are modular designed starships that featured in the Gerry Anderson live action TV series Space 1999, realised in the 70s and brought into life on terrestrial TV at the time. It was, well, what can I say? It was to some quite a groundbreaking series. To others, it may not have quite stood the test of time. I personally look back and enjoy it again for what I think it is. It's a piece of nostalgia, and in terms of raw nostalgia, these models from Hero Collector are exactly that. They feed into my sense of nostalgia. Now, I'm not putting it on a rotating turntable that will carry on rotating it throughout the entirety of the video. I'm going to try and do most of the manipulation by hand, just to allow you to have a range of different angles and an opportunity to have quite a close look at some of the different paint detailing and the additional labeling of the ship, and a chance to look quite closely at the structure of it. So first things first, this is there's nothing new in terms of the packaging. Once again, it comes in the standard Space 1999 ships packaging, which is not dissimilar to the majority of the other types of packaging that the major Hero Collector Starship collections benefit from having. A key disappointment for me, sorry to open with a disappointment, but let's get it out of the way, is that the magazine that accompanies this is once again the exact same magazine that we had with the Eagle 1 and with the Eagle 1 transporter with the boosters. So they haven't given us a separate and different magazine with the three different iterations of the Eagle transporter. This, I think, is a bit of a shame, given that there was scope to expand on the nature of the stories in which they appeared, much like they've done with other starships. So really, it's narrowed the focus quite a bit. Similarly, and I know this has been a criticism that's been levelled through some comments on previous videos, not all of the paint is done particularly accurate. There's some degrees of inaccuracy in some of the paintwork on the models, and this one is not perhaps dissimilar. You can see that the windows there don't have the white detailing around the cockpit. Similarly, some of the detailing around the engine bells, the thrust section at the back, the colouring isn't quite 100%. However, Eagle Moss do state that this is a hand-painted piece, and it's a hand-painted piece at a accessible, let's call it an accessible price point. There are other Eagle models that are a slightly higher price point, and I think, yeah, that there's a greater perhaps scope for a degree of detailing, and you know, that criticism could be fairly leveled there. Here you get quite a lot of panel detailing, and for what I consider to be a very reasonable price point for the model that you get. So I'm just going to spin this round a bit more so you can see that you do get that sort of gunmetal grey on the thrusters, and you don't really get to, there is a bit of a paint difference on the inside, but it's very hard to see. But in terms of the overall design, the quality of the detailing around the structure of the modular piece, it very much feels and evokes in me a sense of the time, a sense of the series, and ultimately a sense of those very iconic starships, the Eagle starships that appeared in the series, which for me is ultimately what I want from that. Again, as we've seen with the other Eagles, it has that core structure with the cockpit that would be in the TV series detachable as a command module should they need to eject suddenly. It does have these landing pad points here that with the old Corgi and Dinky model versions that I must admit I had when I was a kid, these were spring loaded. They're not here, and again, as has been pointed out, when you stand the model on the pads as opposed to on the provided presentation display, which is supposed to indicate that it's in flight or pre or post landing, it doesn't. Not every model has the same plane of central gravity, should I say. So when if you lay it flat down, the pads don't all touch the floor. This one, it isn't something that I have. That isn't a problem that I have personally, but some people have experienced that. A bit of up close detailing now, and I'm going to zoom slightly, all being well, so we can have a bit of a look at this modular pod in the center, the one that makes this a little bit different from its predecessors in this range. Okay, so this is the Eagle laboratory. So this section also has two protuberances either side, still has the sort of famous Moonbase Alpha door system there, but it doesn't, I mean, it's not detachable, which I think is worth noting. It's not a detachable system by any, it is a standalone display piece. And I think this is what I sort of keep coming back to, which I know I don't want to be sort of put myself at odds with anyone that enjoys collecting Space 1999 memorabilia and is, if you like, a die-hard fan, which is, you know, in many things I'm a die-hard fan of, but a die-hard fan of the absolute on-screen detailing. But I really do like the level of detailing that we're given here. I really think it's very evocative of the period. I think that even down to the quality of the detailing around some of the mechanisms of the landing pad. Yes, it isn't actually going to be spring loaded, but it does feel like it might be. Lifting the model up so you can have an aerial view of the pod, you can see just how good some of that detailing actually is. And again, I'm not trying to be overly positive, and that's the extending laboratory elements of the ship. So I'm not trying to be overly pro the Eagle Moss models, but what I am trying to do is to say, you know, this is what we're getting at this price point, and for me, I'm happy with that. If I was paying a lot more, I might want a bit more screen accurate detailing, but I think there's an awful lot of really good detailing that they treat us to here. They've clearly worked with the Jerry Anderson estate to give us what we have got here, and I for one am very happy. I'm very happy with that. Just try to get that back on the base for you. It's harder to do than you might think when you've got the camera in your face. There we go. So again, I think, let me pull out so you can see the sort of the scope of the ship. So this is, for me, another really good entry into this range. I think it allows for some rather good toy photography angles. I do appreciate that some of the paint isn't perhaps what some people would hope for, but I think again it's countered by some of the panel detailing. It does work well with the other ships that come in this range, and I shall probably do quite a brief, hopefully a brief video where I actually get to line the ships up together and you can see them one after the other in the very near future. But this was what I was really excited to get, because in the Corgi Dinky the Dinky range, yeah, that I had in the 70s growing up. We didn't. This was never a feature. So now I've pulled out a bit more. Let's see if I can give you a bit more of a sort of like a pan across the ship, so you can see what that really looks like. And in addition, I'm also going to show you the underside in a little bit more detail. Get my elephantine thumbs out of the way. So again, you can see those are the thruster points. There's quite a bit of underside detailing that they didn't need to give us, but it's there. It's there in the mould. So I, for one, am very glad about that. We do see some additional landing pads there for the module. So just for context, if anyone's unfamiliar with the nature of the show, and therefore the concept and the design concept of the Eagle ships, Moonbase Alpha, which is where these are the primary type of transport, is an Earth colony that's predominantly charged with nuclear waste disposal, for example, on the moon, in the futuristic year of 1999. And it's one of those sort of colony worlds, well, colony bases, if you like, that does have a real sense it's been imported to the moon via ships like this one and the Eagle transporter, and has successfully been built on the moon in segments. So it is a modular base, and it has that sense. That's part of the aesthetic of the show. These ships are no different, and I think I mentioned in a previous video, much like Thunderbird 2, for example, another Jerry Anderson classic and iconic vessel, the center sections were interchangeable pods. So you could have a passenger bay version of the pod, you could have a cargo version, you could have this, which is the laboratory version. You could also have, if I remember rightly, and I'm basing this more on my Dinky Toy memory, one that carried little nuclear waste cargo bins with a little magnet and a winch, and that's one we haven't seen in the Hero Collective range yet. I really hope we do, because I think that was the very first one that I had, was the one that had the cargo canisters, the nuclear waste canisters hanging from it, and I would love to see Hero Collector produce that. There was also the Hawk, which was an attack variant of this ship, and there were also a couple of alternative starships in the series that were quite notable, and also some ground vehicles, like there's this little yellow moon buggy that would be quite a fun Hero Collector project. I'd love to see that. So all in all, there are additional ships that have not yet been announced or released by Hero Collector. I think these three were done by way of market research, just to sort of test the water, possibly why we don't see a huge variant in the magazine, because they're not going to invest heavily in separate print runs. And this core model is essentially the same, with although it is attached as a single entity, we can't unattach it. I suspect the moulding was done in such a way that it was required very little work to adapt from Model A to Model B and then to Model C. So I'm optimistic that sales have been good for Hero Collector, and we will see some additional Space 1999 vehicles released and announced for the near future. Again, I appreciate there are some, I'm going to say minor, because I think in terms of what we get, the bigger picture is positive. But I do appreciate for die-hard collectors and die-hard fans that there are very much so some real key features within it that quite possibly they're not as happy with as I am. But again, perhaps I'm not the same level of die-hard collector, but I think this is a really nice ship. Its shortcomings notwithstanding, this is something that looks really great on display. I mean, it genuinely does. It looks really great with its compatriot pieces in terms of the Eagle transporter and the transporter with the booster rockets. And if you've not seen those yet, I have got a couple of videos that cover those ships. Again, the majority of the design is very similar. The predominant difference is around the middle area. And you can go and check those videos out if you want to sort of do a compare and contrast. And what I may well do, as I say, is try and do a quick video in the very near future to show you the three ships next to each other. Does it have a place in your collection? Well, it is personal choice. For me, I'm really glad I've purchased it. I like it. I do like the level of detail and the attention to detail that we're seeing here. So I am not somebody who's going to be complaining about that. I appreciate it isn't everyone's taste, so hence me wanting to give you a nice opportunity to see it up close and in hand, because again, some of the still photographs of it may not give you everything you need to see to make that decision. Hopefully I've been able to help you one way or the other, and if I have, do please hit the like button. And whilst you're there, maybe subscribe and get notifications turned on as well. So if you do want to see me covering any other Hero Collector releases that may either be historical ones or new ones as they're released, that way you'll never miss a video. And similarly, I will be talking about other toys and models as well, such as Transformers, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Doctor Who. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we'll be covering over time on this channel. I'll also try to get a few different shots that may later appear on my Instagram page over at the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and I'll include those at the end of this video just so you can see again some more different angles of this ship, and maybe a bit more exciting, relatively exciting lighting, just to give you a chance to really see the ship in all its glory. Yeah, I really hope that it's helped you or it's given you a bit of an insight as to whether or not this is something that belongs in your collection. Just to repeat, for me it 100% does, but I am aware why others may not feel quite as enamored with it as I do, because there are some inaccuracies in terms of complete on-screen model precision. If that is a problem for you, then this might be a model to steer clear from. As I say, for myself, it isn't, and it does evoke, which I suppose is really what I'm looking for in these models, which is that sense of nostalgia. It connects me to a time in my childhood that has a very special place in my heart, and I think that for me is what is part of why I collect, is because it does connect me. Those are the things I do collect, either are originals from the time, they're evocative of the time, and for me these are really evocative. That's also why I hope I see some of the other models as well, because that would really be for me quite special. Anyway, thank you for staying with me for the last 16 or 17 minutes. It's been much appreciated. You have been a fantastic audience. I've been the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this has been the Hero Collector and Eagle Moss Space 1999 even, get my teeth straight, Eagle Transporter with laboratory attachment, and I very much hope to see you in a future video very, very soon. In the meantime, please do keep safe, please do look after yourself, and remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.